So welcome everyone. We have Ali Hussain in the house today, who's a hands-on founder, and he built and led Flux7 Labs from bootstrap to acquisition, driven by a mission to eliminate mundane work through high-performing engineering teams. He's also a friend, so please excuse my sense of humor, which I'm sure will creep in. Now, as a co-founding managing partner at Vixul, an AI-first accelerator, he helps tech services founders scale believing AI is blurring the line between products and services. And with that, Ali, the mic is all yours.
Thank you. So I will bore people with slides that Claude prepared for me. But kind of I wanted to share a bit about my background. And so the title is Bye HubSpot. We were using HubSpot internally for our work. And in a fit of rage, I pulled it all out and migrated us out of HubSpot. And what that really taught me a lot, uh, I hadn't been taking vibe coding seriously, and it was an aha moment for myself. And so that's kind of why I want to share the journey, share the story, kind of like what happened and what that actually the way I see it for software. So I started off in CPU architecture in 2008, and then I said, "Oh my God, I don't want to do CPU architecture." And then the story that Manan told you. In our previous company, Flux7 Labs, we started using HubSpot in 2014, and at the time of our acquisition, we were spending roughly 70K on HubSpot a year. And so we were using. So then afterwards, we started using HubSpot in 2023, and then March 4th, we explored migrating out of HubSpot. March 5th, key assets migrated. March 18th, we're pretty much just migrated. And this timeline is insane, but to put that timeline into perspective, we did a previous migration from Wix into HubSpot. And that was like, okay, we a month talking to everyone, trying out tools, interviewing people who can help us, making sure that we'll be able to get our assets right, experimenting with different limitations that all of these SaaS vendors have to keep you from being able to migrate easily, trying to keep you locked in. Another month here, month there, and then kind of improving the actual content and for that. And so it was like a multi-month journey. With HubSpot to our custom code, what happened was that I realized our configuration, even though we were like paying $700 a month to HubSpot, for some reason we ended up in a plan in which they put the built on HubSpot logo on our website, and I didn't realize this. So, and I realized when I realized I couldn't remove it, I just asked Claude in that, okay, what can I do to get out of HubSpot? And it started off with a simple conversation. It was just like, yeah, let me add it, let me add it. I'm just gonna build this damn entire everything for you, man. Like, you should have seen it. And then I let it. Um, I started letting it kind of like walking it through, and I'm like, okay, let's try this. And by by that night, I was set up so I can start migrating things. One of my coworkers had already thrown all of our. We were going through a strategic realignment, and one of our coworkers had already thrown in a lot of our all of our new strategy, new documents to Claude, and told it that hey, we're going through this process with our website remake it, and so a lot of the content had already been created. And by next day, our website had a complete facelift. It was realigned to our new goals. It showcased our new identity. And what was the real learning was that we went from kind of somebody else's rules to our own rules. Um, Before we had HubSpot and we're like, okay, I think we can get HubSpot to do some things for us. And we had been trying to do that, trying to experiment with their tools. but nothing would just meet what we needed. Would be overkill in some places, too much work to configure in other places, not right, not quite right for us, and a lot of work, a lot of integration work still that needs to be done. And that was kind of our moment in that, okay, like we need to uh, this is now we own our own destiny. We're not limited to the things that HubSpot is trying to sell to us. So I made a post about it today, like on in the blogs that we create, we were getting help from ChatGPT or Claude in writing the blog posts, but it wasn't an integrated workflow where we're like we get, hey, do this, help me write this blog post, help me guide through this process, make sure we get the right balance of AI helping us with injecting the human creativity. Um, and that is kind of what it changed, and that we were able to just build our own tooling. Anything that we thought about, the things that we're thinking about, okay, we want to do this, we need to have these tools. It created a change in mindset, and that hey, we can just build all of this stuff. So this is kind of what our commit history looks like for the last 6 weeks. Um, and one after another, we just kept on adding in things. Um, this is like a month and a half of somebody who's isn't really who has been an engineering manager for some time, but not but doesn't have to code every day and has never done front end code. And so this is kind of where it got us. But I think it kind of really changes what we do, how we see engineering leadership. So this is what the diagram used to be. 10% time in product design, 80% implementation, 10% DevOps and infra. And I feel like the equation has completely changed because now the implementation time is now one of the smallest one, has now shrunk by a huge amount. 33% product design, 33% implementation, 33% DevOps and infra. The reason for products to change, A, like our product backlogs have completely changed. We're trying to build new kinds of products that have never not been built before. Uh, Everyone in the team can now build products and be an active part of the product design and product building effort. And as our pace of building has increased, we also need to increase our ability to understand what we're building is the right thing or not, the data that we're collecting, the decisions that we're making on them. And so what we could have done slowly, it doesn't make sense to do things slowly, get an understanding slowly. We need to be very quick in understanding what it is that we should be doing. Similar thing happening in on the DevOps and infra side. The system for code generation, that matters more than ever. You have AI creating code, so you need to have a strong quality gates on the code. Not all of it is going to be reviewed by humans. If you decide to do that, then you will be significantly slowing yourself down. What gets the code, it would take days to write. Now it can be done in minutes. It still needs to be debugged, it still needs improvements, but that change in latency just means that what you expect from your system, what you expect from testing, that has completely changed. And then the amount of work that's getting done just increases. And it's not just that the latency, it's just that it's now each engineer is turning out 10 prompts, 10 AI has 10 AI agents that are working and delivering code for them. So your systems need to be designed to be able to handle all of this information, get your testing in place, making sure that your code and quality is good. Another shift is we need to be thinking about everyone as a developer. You need to make sure you can't just think of it as, oh, these are the tech people and marketing and software technology. You are just wasting too much time. And some of the things that we've done to help with that is hackathons and war rooms. In addition, we've kind of had tiered tiered platforms. Some things and that okay, this is for the POC, but then when you're trying to promote it into the platform, you do this. Um, Finally, what we have that is important has changed. Like in the past, in the SaaS world, you have like the vendor lock-in, um, which uh, vendor lock-in you really can't enforce it. If somebody says, "Okay, I am going to just leave this provider within the next 24, 48 hours," they can do that. Uh, some of the things that you can actually benefit from is having a huge amount of data, a huge amount of data that you can use to guide, like Google, who has the world's data, who OpenAI, who have the OpenAI, Anthropic, who have the world's data, or very specific data for yourself. That's why for Vixul it is very important for us to keep data on all of the companies so we can actually be giving good guidance to everyone based on what we've seen work and what we haven't seen work. Um, in the past, we would talk about the Salesforce ecosystem, but now the strength of the ecosystem is not there, but you have to give a very strong API access so the users have freedom. And with the API access, it again goes against the vendor lock-in. If you're giving them API access, then that also means that they can pull your system out. Finally, the technical expertise I used to feel that was very valuable, but that I feel but my stance towards that has really changed towards the importance of domain expertise because then you bring specific knowledge that tech cannot bring, and uh, so that is kind of the way I have seen things change. Um, and I think that that's going to really change how we build and how we write, how we build software. I mean, even as an example to that, right? Instead of using a slide deck tool like Google Slides or PowerPoint, it was easier for me to just make a web page out of this.
Thank you very much, Ali. If you can stop sharing, I do have some questions, but Hassan, do you have a question before I do?
I have a lot of questions, but you go first.
Go for it. Go for it. Go for it.
Okay, so thank you, Ali, for walking us through this. We basically are also in the process of saying bye bye PyDrive. So I think I have I don't know if how much specifics we can go into, but I have regarding that I have a couple of questions with this. So
Yes.
what were you using HubSpot for? But that was my first question, like the use cases that you were using, and were you able to export all of this to your custom build?
We
Um,
were using all of the CRM use cases, and to be honest, the CRM use cases we actually already had in Airtable. The thing that was and so that kind of goes towards a little bit of a change in how things are working right now, because having easier access to your data so you can do interesting things with your data is most interesting right now. Having your vendor set up things for you is not that interesting. So we had our CRM set up already in Airtable. What HubSpot itself is designed a lot more towards the marketing side, right? But the marketing side really makes it had good analytics, but when we actually started diving deep down, uh, it would always be the second best in the analytics, and we would have some questions. So we have to get more information out there. Uh, so uh, so then your analytic, what your we didn't have the togetherness of it. We didn't have everything together, which is a good feature of it. I would say that in our previous company, we used HubSpot very, 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 very heavily. We basically had everything in HubSpot. We made that the single source of truth. It was extremely painful to do that. It never behaved quite the way that we wanted it to behave. Uh, we're use it for the CRM, use it for capacity management. All of those. So the CRM part, okay, fine. We built. You get that, right? And then you have the marketing side, and the marketing side and the CRM side are kind of actually talking different languages. So they're not
Yeah.
really fully integrated to each other. Okay. Then the post-sales part, we brought that into HubSpot because we said, okay, single source of truth. The truth was that we built a lot of automations and created something that was very painful to use, but that was still enough to be able to get us to limp along. But it was not something that was great. And it's still we hit the wall in terms of what we can do. And that's kind of the thing in that you're not owning the way the data is being stored and the data is being made accessible. And so you're going to hit that wall. Um, it's going to be set up in a way that will handle the lowest common denominator for everyone in the world, right? But it's not going to be set up in a way that will work for you.
I understand. And that makes complete sense. We have gone through this journey as well, where we were not getting the metrics we were looking for, and then we would say that how do this, and say, okay, this is this tier that you need to get to to unlock that. So I understand that.
Yeah,
The
not just that here, but also kind of like then you're like doing HubSpot, which is supposed to be your one source of truth, but then that one source of truth can't actually really get the other source of truth. So you add in
yeah,
Google Analytics and you add in Microsoft Clarity. Okay, but HubSpot doesn't want you to be paying attention to Microsoft Google Analytics and Clarity. So HubSpot focuses on just their part and doesn't really play nice with other tools. And so now you're busy doing manual work, and that's just taking up time.
I understand. Ali, another concern around is regarding confidentiality of the data. So if you're using Claude and everything, so these are tools become, and if you're sharing it as code that other people can use as well, then sometimes I think guess it also gets public access or and some when you're using the CRM part, you have some confidential data that is protected by the NDA. So did you face that? Is there any way around that?
So when I looked through the Claude, or well, I glanced through it, didn't do a proper look, but so the API usage is definitely something that Claude said that Anthropic said they're not going to train on. My understanding is that business accounts they're not. They said that they're not going to train on business information, but if you have a personal account, they'll use that for training. So that was the assumption that we were based on. In terms of the security aspect of it, uh, I did. I can say that my pace definitely slowed down once I had to start considering security. Um, but then I also put in and also like with auth tools, like the debugging is horrendous, and so things just took a lot. It took a far longer time to be able to iterate and get things right. Um, but I would say, and then we had to do kind of the things. During the process, I was kind of doing very quick code checks to make sure that hey, is making sense or is this not making sense as I'm implementing each feature. But kind of like thing I have in my mind what the core part of the algorithm is when I'm programming it, when I'm telling it to build that, right? And so then just like, okay, where is it doing that? Okay, it's doing that. Okay, if it's doing that, it'll probably get the rest of the stuff right. Like, that was kind of the mindset that I was approaching it with. Um, and so, and then kind of like double check on, okay, show me the schema for this and show me the schema for that and having it walk me through the schemas. Like, I mean, if you implement the schemas correctly, then it really can't be messing things up. So, those are the places where I actually did put a lot more attention into it to make sure that things it's not violating any rules.
Sounds good. Thank you. Thank you for explaining. And one last question. How what was the impact cost-wise and performance-wise?
I mean,
You said
HubSpot is like $700 a month, right?
700, yeah.
So our AWS bill. It's not just my lambdas that are running. It's we had other lambdas running too, so I don't know which of them were mine and which ones
Okay.
of them were not mine. But our CloudFront bill was $20, so that probably is all mine. Our
Okay.
uh, our uh, uh, Lambda bill was another $20, so that probably half of it is mine. Our build server bill, that was all mine. That was, I think we spent around $30-40 in doing builds. So that's more a statement on how fast we were implementing, and then also we having a very comprehensive test suite written entirely by Claude. In the things that I said about the DevOps, I think it's really important to keep the test suite in mind. The test suite uh, serves two purposes. It ensures functionality and it prevents drift. And the latter prevents drift part is what's actually really, really critical in making sure that things are that you can move fast. Ensures functionality that like when you build it and you're trying it out, you can then ensure that anyway. So even if you're not even if you're stupid about it, just getting 100% code coverage is critical, no matter what you do. Just a simple word about the testing. But Yeah, so $30-40 on the builds side. But again, like we wouldn't have been doing build, we wouldn't have been experimenting if it weren't for having to do if it like the builds are to actually do things that we wouldn't have done otherwise. So it's not an apples to apples comparison. I did install a WAF, and that will probably drop our CloudFront bill and increase our other bill. But in terms of performance, the I it made me realize just how tolerant we were of a slow website.
Got it. Good answer. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. That
Ali,
answers my
just
question.
just one quick question. So I'm assuming the present HubSpot bill for you was a small amount compared to what you guys were spending previously at the previous company. So if you were to do all of this where HubSpot was very critical to the last company, do you still feel you would have made the decision? Do you
Yeah,
still feel it would have been
absolutely,
as advantageous?
absolutely. One of the big differences that instead of me doing something here and there, but we had our so one of the things that we had when my co-founder Arthur, he created an assessment platform, and that was kind of like an overpowered Google sheet, uh, and that really helped us really get through kind of get through our assessments, build the foundation that we used, build the foundation that got us a reputation for really providing clarity in the work that we do. Um, and The problem with that assessment platform was that when it was handed over when we hired solutions architects and handed over to the solution architects, they were not able to maintain it. It was easier for them to kind of just let it die out. And so that was one of the things. But then there was another. There were tools like these that we would have actually been able to build and put in our platform correctly and be able to make them a part of the real customer workflow that would have forced us to go this route. Another part of it is there were tools that we were using which were just actually used and they were critical to the company, but they were not where they need to be. One of them was an Epics database. We were any work that was done, all of it was going in a single database. That again, it was a monstrosity of a spreadsheet using queries and all whatnot that people were using. It was doing all of our project estimations, and we were not able to dedicate the resources to actually turn that into a proper app that could be used. So there would have been these drivers with, hey, we need this real tool to own and building it would have made sense. The other thing we were using, like the CRM moving things here and there, right? Like that's okay, fine. But the things that were built on top of the CRM, there weren't that many automations that we were able to build. Just starting to have that freedom to, okay, we can just build what we want, all of our frustrations. We don't need to we don't need to mold our workflow according to what the tool is designed for. That would have made a huge difference. Manan, you're muted.
Thank you for that. I was saying, do you feel that, we're talking about large companies here, so we're talking about HubSpot in particular, but what do you think their response is going to be to this? And that's the last question
So
for you
the
guys.
large companies are going to be cautious, right? For justifiably cautious. But I think there is going to be a bit more of this when you look at the procurement for a large company, right? Like I say, oh, we need this. Okay, we need to get this tool. Okay, you go through this process for going to somebody, getting that tool, getting them negotiating enterprise contracts. Uh, the people that are actually the stakeholders, they're not a part of the conversation, and then they have to allocate the resources. Now, if you put yourself in this position where the people that are the actual stakeholders, instead of arguing and convincing 10 different people in front of them, they can just shadow build something and just move on with their lives. And they'll be building things within the purview of things that they're allowed to build. Like, if you have HubSpot, you were always, most companies would have allowed you to have kind of like API access to run your automations, just that it's not worth your effort to do that, right? And so once you start building these, then you can start thinking about, okay, how is it that we can, you realize that most of your activity is not happening over here. And then
No, but
you start,
can't HubSpot allow their customers to sort of customize a lot of stuff now, given
they do, right? But the question is like, at what point are you customizing versus using HubSpot as a data store and just writing your own thing?
fair enough. I think this is going
And
to be a fun evolution to watch, like how the large ones respond. Thank you so much for this conversation, and yeah, I guess it's a wrap.
thank you for having me.